All right, everyone, welcome back. It's LSW20 and our noon hour session. So I hope everybody either has a snack or in their hands or will soon be getting it. This is Entrepreneurial Grit and Daring Marketing go hand in hand with Lori Jones. Lori is a deeply experienced marketing executive. She has decades of experience. She's worked with brands at all levels, from small to really big, Fortune 500, and everywhere in between. And I am thrilled to have her here for Startup Week and for her session. So Lori, take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Morgan. It's a thrill to be here with all of you today. Again, Entrepreneurial Grit and Marketing Bravery. I hope to share some bold moves with you today that will help ignite your business growth. There are several definitions of grit. For me, it's a growth mindset. We all have that. A resilience that makes a person determined to bounce back from failures and setbacks. It depends on intensely focusing on a goal with passion and perseverance in order to ultimately succeed. We need to have an unrelenting belief that our businesses and ideas will defy the statistics and become the success story that we have always strived to achieve. It's not easy, we know it. Those of us that are either here day one thinking that they might start a business, here day 100 due to COVID, or 5 years in. The path is not an easy one, and even in the face of defeat, you highlight the positive and help the team lean in with perseverance. It's about having goals that make people want to work hard as they witness the humility that we all show with patience, risk-taking, self-confidence, self-regulation that we demonstrate day in and day out. So we live in an era where every business category has more brands and more people than anybody wants or needs. So connecting with your customer is more difficult than it ever was before, and quite frankly, it's essential. Brave marketing, which is rooted in authenticity, differentiation, strong internal alignment, helps you connect with audiences and stand out among the sea of sameness. We're going to talk a lot about those topics today. That, my friends, is marketing bravery. Ultimately, being brave will deliver more customers more quickly and build top-line revenue. Our agenda today is deep. We're first of all going to share some bold moves with you on winning during the 5-year mark, the most difficult time period for entrepreneurs starting a business, understanding your points of parity versus points of differentiation, how you can outsmart your competition, developing messaging that sells versus tells, and marketing bravery examples from the field. A little bit more about myself. I'm happy to announce we're celebrating 40 years of business right here in Longmont, Colorado. Avocet is an integrated marketing communications firm that ignites business growth. We deploy an integrated marketing communications model, which integrates owned, earned, shared, and paid media types. And you can see on screen right now some of the accolades that we've achieved over the last many years. One of the most important points I want to make to you all is that I, too, am an entrepreneurial individual. My father founded the business back in 1980, and that entrepreneurial grit, that entrepreneurial spirit is something that we all relate through very well. Now, there are going to be some great things that we're going to share with you throughout today, but we're also going to have some freebies at the end of the presentation. A marketing game plan is a tool that you can deploy that's got your vision, your strategic anchors, some details about your SWOT, the owned, earned, and shared media types that we feel you should be deploying on an annual basis, your message anchors, which again, we're going to get into today, and then how you're going to execute that over time by year and then by quarter. This is a tool that we're going to provide you if you sign up to receive it at the end of the show today. In addition, we've recently written an ebook, Revival Strategies, Recovery Planning for Brands During COVID. It has some critical insights that you can utilize day in and day out in your business to help you really think forward and navigate what is seemingly an incredibly difficult time. But this is actually the really cool thing that we've got for you today. We're going to give away some free marketing. So we have 3 prizes worth $20,000. The first prize is going to be $10,000, second $7,500, and the third $2,500 in free marketing. Yep, free marketing. So it doesn't, of course, include printing or out-of-pocket expenses, but we're going to provide you the insight and the savvy that the Avocet team has to really help you ignite growth for your brand. Now, how you're going to do that is go ahead. One of our team members is going to put, or Morgan, will put a URL link in the chat feature, and all you have to do is click on that, and you're going to be able to sign up for that at the end of the show. Okay, so winning during the first 5 years, it's not an easy one. And guess what? I've told you, I've been there too. My father and I started the business, but the numbers are a little bit daunting. According to Gallup, about 50% of new US companies will fail in the first 5 years. And we're going to illustrate today on how, with the right marketing approaches, you won't even touch the thought of failure. You're going to succeed. You're going to grow. You're going to really create an incredible footprint in the marketplace. What I thought I'd start out by doing is telling you a little bit more about a fun little story about that really, in my mind, distills down entrepreneurial grit regarding orange shag carpet and a steel case desk. It started in 1980 when my father left a very lucrative, high-powered job in the marketing field and decided to go out on his own. He was a one-man shop operating out of the basement of my parents' home day in and day out, finding time to do a lot of fly fishing and hunting and a lot of creativity along the way. In 1989, I graduated from Colorado State with a broadcast journalism degree, asking myself, what in the world have I done? I don't like journalism. I don't want to do this. And about that time, my father said, why don't we give this a whirl and see what we can do if you join, which was then Sartorius Advertising. So of course I said yes. And years later, it was the next to saying yes to my husband, the best yes I've ever said. So we had been courting a lot of different businesses, again, still operating out of the basement of my parents' home. And we received a phone call on a Thursday from Jerry Martin. He was the owner of a regional rental car agency. And Jerry let me know that we were a finalist for his piece of business. And, you know, of course, I was excited. And I continued to show my excitement. And then I had this oh no moment, because Jerry asked to come by the office on Monday and meet our team. And we didn't have an office and we didn't have a team. So I looked at the shag carpet beneath my feet and I ran upstairs and said to my father, we need a plan and we need it quickly. So that next Friday, we ran out and leased office space. On Saturday, we went and bought a used steel case desk. We had zero capital. The desk now would be completely cool, as you can see on screen, but back then they were pretty ugly. So my father made a wood veneer top to go over the top of it, and I bought plywood, upholstery foam, and upholstery fabric, cut it to the three sides of the desk that you could see, made it look real pretty. We moved in on Sunday, and then on Monday, we had our entire family at the office to make us look larger than we were. Jerry Martin walked in at 9 o'clock and left at 10 o'clock with a signed contract. So we knew at that time that we were off to the races, and we've never looked back. Incredible story there about really how you can prevail during tough times. So let's talk more about the top 20 reasons why brands do fail. I've included 10. This is a story with CV Insights that ran in 2019. Arguably, 7 of these have a lot to do with marketing rather. No market need. They get out-competed. Pricing or cost issues. An un-user-friendly product without a business model, poor marketing, and ignoring customers. Looking at these top 20 reasons, and knowing that 7 of them arguably have a lot to do with marketing, if we really take the bull by the horns and differentiate ourselves and just say to ourselves, marketing is needed, not that it isn't, then we, again, will beat the odds. We've worked with over 250 entrepreneurial startups, by the way, during our 40 years. And we recently interviewed 100 startup entrepreneurs. 63% of these people that we talked to felt as though the product would sell itself. Another 54% thought that all they needed was salespeople to get the word out. 45% could not articulate why their brand was special. And we've heard this time and time again with the different brands that we've worked with over the last many, many years. Most brands focus on their points of parity. We're going to spend a lot of time there today as their marketing messages. And their points of parity don't position them. It's the table stakes that gets them to the playing field. It's next to impossible to create top-of-mind awareness if you don't differentiate on some level. Plus, there's no distinction. If you all want to take a look at this, there's a great story that ran in Ad Age, and new research uncovers the biggest differentiator of effective marketing is bravery. It continues to talk about the need for courage in marketing, and that is really where we're going to begin our conversation today. We need to differentiate from that sea of sameness, as I mentioned, and courage and marketing bravery will ultimately get there, helping you leapfrog the competition. You will beat the odds if you tune in and listen more about some of the tools we're going to share with you today. We all know that it's an incredibly crowded marketplace. It's probably more crowded than any of us really want to believe is true. We also know that you need to deliver 27 messages for your one person within your audience to see that message 3 times. It gets worse. Think about all the different marketers that are delivering messages day in and day out as well. So if you need to deliver 27 to receive 3, then look at our friend here. He's receiving, and all of us are, between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements from all brands on a daily basis. But with marketing bravery, if you are brave in your messaging and your position and you differentiate from the competition, look at what happens to the differentiation. You still need to deliver 27 messages, but you increase 4 times the likelihood of someone seeing your message and it resonating with them. So at the end of the day, marketing bravery delivers, right? The more you stand out, the more you differentiate, the more you get on top of that mountain and shout with the right positioning, with the differentiation, you'll win the battle. Marketing bravery helps your audience see your message and remember it, which is absolutely key. And I talked a little bit about this, but it's important. There's, again, direct and indirect competition. Your indirect competition, again, is every ad that someone sees on a daily basis. So if you think about the difficulty of standing out amongst your competition, and then you add that in, again, it's incredibly difficult. Okay, so are you a 1 or a 10? We all get asked that question, right? This is a tool that we use at Avocet to really gauge and understand whether or not a brand has the propensity, the mindset, the ethos to really want to differentiate. We refer to this as the range of acceptability. If you thumb through your news feed or a digital book or an app or a print magazine, anything, or you're watching a television show, the advertising most typically is geared toward the left-hand side of this range of acceptability. Everything begins to look the same. It all sounds the same. It might fit advertising 101 standards. It might totally fit within the industry that it's geared to. But within your given industry, if you take that and move your creativity, your execution, your research, your differentiation to the brave side of that range of acceptability, you're going to stand out among the crowd. Again, because the safe zone is the 1, 2, and 3. It's maybe the 4. If you move it to the right, you'll stand out. So we spend a lot of time on these sort of topics at Avocet, and now I'd like to open it up to see if there are any questions surrounding anything I've said thus far.
I don't see anything yet.
That's great. Thank you.
But for anybody who has questions, just drop them in and we'll revisit them as you continue.
Okay. So now I mentioned a parity and differentiation. So points of parity and points of differentiation, we're going to spend the bulk of our time here today. A strong positioning strategy allows you to differentiate from otherwise similar competitors in the marketplace. We've established that. It allows you to clarify your brand essence and increase customer acquisition, brand loyalty, and top-line revenue. It's truly your uniqueness. A point of parity are the table stakes that no matter what you need to have to be relevant within the competition that you have in the marketplace. So a point of parity are the mandatories. Again, it's the legitimate buying decision that someone makes, knowing that that you are a legitimate brand. It's typically shared across all competitors, and we're going to give some examples of that in a second. The POD, or point of difference, are attributes that are truly unique to your brand. There are those items that truly differentiate you, and they're not shared among the competition. Before you identify your points of differentiation and your competitive advantage, you must have a firm grasp on what your POP is, what those elements are, and if you are succeeding on each one of those. Let's take a look at some examples. So distribution, hours of operation. If you operate from 7 to 4 o'clock and your competitor operates from 7 to 8, that 4-hour difference could be a failing of a point of parity. So you want to make sure that you operationalize, you size up so that that does not become a buying issue. Product features are another one. If we take a look at some food products out there, taste, look, feel, it better be good, right? If it's not, you won't be considered. And delivery is another one. Speed is something from a distribution standpoint that Amazon has really held high to. FedEx had it years ago and they lost the battle to Amazon. Their point of parity, that point of differentiation, became mainstream for the marketplace, and that's where they really needed to differentiate, and they did. So we're going to provide some examples here. I just let one cat out of the box with FedEx, but nonetheless, so let's take a look at Mentos, at Clorettes, and Halls. Their points of parity are this. They're all mint candy. They have packaging that size and varies. They are a similar price, and they all are a fresh taste. They don't advertise fresh taste because it won't differentiate them from the competition. I just let the cat out of the hat with the FedEx example. But very early on, FedEx captured a huge market share with a very clever positioning and slogan, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. We all know that slogan, we remember it. But now, again, that's not relevant today because we received that. Everyone's doing it, UPS, US Post Office, Amazon, everyone. So they've shifted their marketing to a new point of differentiation. Let's take banks for an example as well. Most banking customers consider these items that you see on screen essential elements of the banking experience, and they expect them to be delivered at a certain level of quality. So these are points of parity. They're the table stakes. Without a strong POP, you're not going to be considered from a buying standpoint. Skipping points of parity is not an option. You may need to fix them, as we've illustrated, in order to move ahead as well. One question I'd like you all to ask yourself right now is take a look at your business, your product, your service, your solution, and ask yourself if you lack any points of parity. Okay, now the problem is this. Most brands focus on their POP to differentiate. They don't move into the point of difference, which is really where they should focus. Remember back to the 27 to 3, and then increasing that 12 times if you differentiate with bravery. That is where brands win. And that is where I want to see everyone tuning in today win as well. There's no distinction if you don't focus on the difference. So again, the points of difference are really those features that you turn into the benefits, meeting some basic criteria. Does the target audience consider them important? Is it relative? Is it distinctive? Is it truly believable? So you can't like come up with a point of differentiation just to be creative and expect that that is going to really set you apart. It needs to be authentic. You need to be able to deliver on that differentiation, and it needs to be lasting. And then secondly, they help truly differentiate you from the competition. Again, you can't just stick, an ad out there that is on the right-hand side of a range of acceptability because it looks crazy and weird and expect it to work. It still needs to have that authenticity and that ability to build an audience, build engagement, and be real at the end of the day. So again, let's ask yourself, where can you differentiate and how can you become distinct? So let's take a look back to our mint candy example here. So these are the points of differentiation. With Mentos, it's a variety of colors. That sounds very, very good right now, as a matter of fact. They have been in business for a very, very long time. With Clarets, they've got that incredible dark green solid color. They have something called Actazol, which removes mouth odors, which is a great point of differentiation from a scientific standpoint. And then with Halls, they fight coughs and soothe sore throats. So you can really see here where the points of differentiation are, and that they're very, very important to the buying behavior or decision that people ultimately work through. So going back to our banks example here, something that is truly differentiated with banks is the higher interest rates on CDs. People are spending a lot of time on that right now. No closing costs on home loans, or better cash back on rewards. Those are areas that ultimately you can differentiate. So strong points of differentiation really support a strong brand, and they also enable you to sell on value versus price. The price wars are difficult. We've seen that a lot amongst COVID. You can't rely on always having to discount, whether it be a B2B product or a B2C product. So the strong point of differentiation really helps you sell at a premium price. So how will you differentiate with bravery? Are you going to be boring, or are you going to be brave? And we can stop right here to see if there are any questions regarding differentiation.
We'll see if they filter in. But okay. Actually, one question that I did, if you wanted to pause as you're working through, one question that comes to me, obviously given this moment with COVID, I mean, what's the budget for some of this? Are you going to get into budgetary constraints?
No, I'm not, but actually I didn't plant that question, but I did think this through. Yeah. It's a difficult one because you can look at it two ways. So we'll look at it from a startup standpoint, then we'll really look at brands' ability to take over the competition at this stage as well. So from a startup standpoint, the rule of thumb is no matter what, you've got to invest a minimum of 3% on marketing communications. And that's a minimum. The more tech-oriented products that there are out there, because the margins, well, let me put it this way. The more margins you have, the larger your marketing budget should be. There are a lot of software companies, established software companies, that will invest 10 to 15% in marketing. Now, with the situation that we're in with COVID, I think, and a lot of our customers have deployed this, an increase in budget right now because the competition is not marketing. So it allows us to really take over and shift market share. Years ago, we handled the Big O tires stores for the region. We introduced Little O, which was this incredible point of bravery for the brand at the time. And when one of the many recessions that we've been involved in, and 9/11 hit during the time as well, we upped our marketing during that time period, and we really were able to create a market share shift with some of the key players that had very, very large national foundations. So, it's a range, but the bottom line is you need to do it on some level, hopefully no less than 3%.
Mm-hmm. All right, two questions that have come in.
Okay.
First of all, the bat phone's ringing. When you talk about marketing boldness or bravery, where do you draw the line? And they followed up with the bravery versus professionalism.
Yeah.
Where do you? line.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So there is a line in the sand. There's no doubt about it. And bravery, I should make this point too. So you're talking a lot about creativity as well. Bravery can be something that is not just creativity. It can be a strategy on how you can upsell customers or refer customers. So there are lots of different ways that you can be brave that are not just creative. But as it relates to professionalism, it always, within this range of acceptability, it cannot exceed that. So if you happen to be a banking client, you have a very professional mantra that you need to deploy in the marketplace. Being professional and being brave and creative can all happen at the same time. I don't have a great example of that right now, but it can all happen at the same time. And if you take bravery too far, you can also fail, because it's creative for creative's sake. It doesn't really elicit the response that you need, and it's not going to work for you.
Nice. All right, Emily asks on Facebook, do you have ideas on what marketing exercise a team, in quotes, could go through to come up with their differentiators?
Yes. So what I would do is study the competition and take a look at their websites, their marketing, which you can get all those items free right now and just download them, and really take a look at what their points of parity are, and align on those. Are their points of parity the same parity that you have? And then take a look at, beyond the basics, what they're doing to differentiate. Is there a and actually, if you email me separately, we've got a Lori at avocetcommunications.com. We've got a tool that I can send you for this, but it will take a look at really the competitive analysis along with it, and take a look at, okay, so their product does A, B, C, and D. If we tweak our product to do D, do we really differentiate? Years ago, we were launching a product in the marketplace in the cable TV industry. It was a remote control. We studied the competition. We knew that the primary, RCAs of the world, the Sonys of the world, were promising to deliver a fully customizable remote within a 4-week time period. But we learned through the competition that they could not deliver, that they were missing the timelines by 4 and 5 weeks. So we came up with a campaign that was a fully customizable remote, 100% on-time delivery, and pushed that out into the marketplace. So we'll get you that tool, but just thinking outside of the box and where your competitors are hanging their hats will allow you to truly come up with a strategy to differentiate. Again, it's not just about creative, it's the business strategy that you can still deliver on.
Nice. All right, that's what we got so far.
Okay, which is a great segue to really outsmarting your competition. And we get really competitive here at Avocet. We love it when we outsmart our competition. We're launching a campaign next week that is really going to turn the aerospace industry upside down in a really, really cool, positive way. And so we'd love to be able to, again, we get really competitive, and we love it when we work with clients that really allow that bravery and that creative to push out. We'll share that with you on Facebook next week. But according to Nielsen, this is really important. According to Nielsen, brand leaders achieved 1.4% of share of growth compared to 0.04% for startups and challenger brands, because the challenger or startup brand needed to differentiate themselves, and they didn't. So you can go toe to toe with the competition. If you're brave and you differentiate, as I've established, you're going to ultimately be able to leapfrog the competition. 8 in 10 brands will err on the left-hand side of that range of acceptability. It's their safe zone. It's their professionalism. They just don't push it far enough to the right to really differentiate. Imagine pushing your brand to the right side through strategy. We've talked about that. The competitive insights that we've just illustrated that you can obtain, messaging, and then creative execution. That is where you will outsmart the Goliath, quite frankly. So in order to do that, it's very, very important. One thing that is incredible about a lot of the entrepreneurial brands or those large businesses that are beginning the entrepreneurial divisions is flexibility. Small brands' decision-making and response time and ability to pivot products really helps us be nimble and be flexible, which the Goliath of business has difficulty doing. From a proximity standpoint, you are more nimble, you've got more one-on-one relationships, and you can react more quickly in these situations as well. Large brands are known for their very, 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 very slow response time. You can beat them there. Being different, again, we've illustrated through the POP and POD and smart messaging, where you can truly differentiate. A lot of brands, especially CMOs, are afraid to get too creative because they're reporting to a board of directors and they're so in tune with profitability that if they take a creative risk, they're afraid they'll get fired and they won't do it. Guess what? That becomes opportunity for all of us. Become a part of the conversation. This helps a lot with the communities that we all build, but we love to intercept customers during this time as well. Your competitors and intercepting a potential customer or a prospect when they're interacting with that brand. That's what we're talking about, becoming a part of the conversation. You can also do that, the obvious is SEM and a lot of digital media buying, but imagine, if you are a retail brand and you place a shelter in front of your competitor's location, or if you're at a national trade show next year at this time, and you place a billboard in front of an outdoor arena that has got all your competitors showing their product there. There's some really great ways that ultimately you can competitive intercept the brands. Now, going back to some of the ways to differentiate and outsmart, there are a lot of different ways that we can do that. I'm just going to plant some seeds right now. We've illustrated pricing differently, how that can work. Carving out a niche, becoming the expert. Back to the professionalism question. One way that you still can remain professional and still carve out a really incredible niche is becoming the expert. What are you doing from a thought leadership standpoint to take the lead on topics that nobody's discussing right now? A unique point of purchase experience, of course, a creative approach. A brand character, which we're going to talk about here and show you some examples of in just a minute. And really owning innovation. We feel that the term innovation can really be overused right now. We're trying to come up with another term for that. If anyone has an idea, let us know. But nonetheless, truly innovating and doing something very unique in that situation can help. A new product, of course, or an add-on product or an add-on service can really help. Being the underdog, what an interesting concept, right? So being the underdog in a lot of situations allows you to say things that nobody else can say. And that is an area that can be owned, certainly making it convenient. Over-deliver on customer service. But I had a discussion with an entrepreneur about this last week, but you have to do it in a very, very unique way. We'll give you an example of that later on. But customer service is a point of parity, right? If you deliver something very, very unique that is difficult for someone else to implement, a larger brand or a direct competitor, then it becomes something very unique. Nordstrom is a great example of over-delivering on customer service. They always have very, very high net promoter skills, and they're known for it. They own it. Stand out on the shelves, solve a universal problem. You can be shocking in situations as well, which again, we don't want to take it beyond that 10, but I'll give you another example in a minute here on how shocking really can differentiate and create a lot of humor. We love humor as well. Customer service, changing your customer service, making it personal, which is a given today. All marketing, no matter what today, should have some very, very personal component to it. Linking to an occasion, personifying your product, of course, giving back, breaking away, and providing high quality. Those are just a few examples, ultimately, of areas that you can compete with bravery and differentiate yourselves from the marketplace. Okay, any questions here, Morgan?
Well, we got a couple.
Okay.
I wonder if we want to save them to the end. I don't know how much more content you have to get through in the next.
Why don't we get through messaging and then we can answer a couple more?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. Messaging that creates aha moments. So this is very important. We've done all this work to really understanding our point of parity, our point of differentiation. We understand the competition. We ultimately know where we compete. But then what happens is people don't message it correctly. It sounds very plain Jane and it doesn't differentiate. You need to connect all the dots here to really, to market with bravery. So we differentiate it this way. Most messaging tells a story, but there's no motivation. It does not create excitement. It does not create that aha moment that is so important for people to make a buying decision. It tells a story. It does not sell a story. And we're going to illustrate with you today some areas that you can really think through when you are working through the copy. So if we take a look at the 3 types of approaches for messaging to achieve, cognitive marketing really helps form a connection between the brands and the customers that can influence a buying behavior and loyalty when used correctly. Again, we're going to illustrate some examples of this in a minute. Effective message strategies are designed to invoke feelings or emotions that match them with the product, the service, or the company. And then behavioral increases trial. It increases an immediate action to ultimately buy a product or drive someone in store. Now, you can utilize these 3 approaches hand in hand. So for instance, we could drive a trial on a product and still have a very emotional reason why that's driving trial. So it's important to think through that when you're coming up with those messages. But this is even the point that we want to illustrate even further is this. In business, it's never, ever about you. It's always about the customer. Weak marketing messages speak from the point of view of the seller, of the brand, which is absolutely wrong. What you want to do is get into the minds of the audience and talk about how they will feel about what the outcome will be when they buy the product, experience the cookie, whatever it might be. We refer to this as people first. And to take that a step further, this is an example of that. So the wrong approach with people first is this. Our gifted engineers have created this software that is easy to learn and implement for the ever-changing organizational needs. I mean, you can't fault the copy, right? But there's no about me there. It's all about the brand. It's all about themselves. That does not evoke emotion. That does not say, guess what? You care about me. So the right approach is it will take you no more than 30 minutes to learn our software and put it into use in your business. See the big difference there between the external audience approach versus the internal all about us. And by the way, I used engineers on purpose because this is where most B2B tech brands and software brands and high-tech brands fail, is they allow the engineers to have too big a seat with marketing, and they typically end up with copy that you see on top there. It's their comfort level. Now, it's also important to talk about this. So within brand recognition, there are 5 levels of brand recognition. There's rejection out of the chute. There's non-recognition. There's recognition, preference, and loyalty. Think back to the 27-3, and then increasing that with bravery, right? Where the same thing happens if you're deploying incorrect messages. So they've seen that message 3 times, but you've made it all about you. Guess what? They've not seen it at all. They've totally rejected you. So going back to all of this to create top of mind awareness and really make it all about the customer becomes even more important given those numbers. So people first messages do not beat around the bush. They are, weak marketing messages talk a lot about the ever saying anything. Your message should be crisp and to the point. We have anywhere between 3 and 6 seconds to stop someone today, whether it be with an out-of-home product or a digital ad or signage or a print ad, or if you're on a show floor, 3 to 6 seconds. So immediately we need to stop them in their stop them as they're walking by or wanting to engage with the brand. We do that by being very, very direct. We do need to be original. Weak and ordinary marketing messages sound like you could use them for any other product. One of my favorite examples is if you're driving down the highway, how many signs do you see on vehicles for company vehicles, trucks, whatever it might be, that says success is our satisfaction? That is used with so many brands today. Guess what? It does not work. It's a point of parity, right? Of course, we want to be successful. We want you to be successful. I hope that's why you're in business. They don't need further explanation. This is kind of obvious, but still it needs to be said. Don't get too clever with your marketing messages if they don't make sense. On average, an average Joe just doesn't understand what he's seeing, that it's not going to resonate with them. And we love humor. We love messaging that makes someone happy, that you typically can't go wrong with. In probably 85% of businesses out there. There are certain businesses that could never use that sort of an approach. Okay, so how will you now message with bravery? Are you going to be a 1 or are you going to be a 10? So with that, I have some fun examples that I can share on all of this so we can move forward. We've only got about 9 more minutes, or I can answer a few questions.
Wow. We do have, you have like 15. Yeah, 9 to 15. Yeah, it's a good amount of time. The bat phone's ringing again. They followed up. How are companies, so this is in, I believe, response to one of your earlier comments about how are companies responding to the market with a lack of certainty around COVID? What and how long will it last? Are they scrambling to spend on marketing right now, or are they saving to weather the storm?
Well, they're both 2 good ideas, quite frankly. It totally depends on your personal position in the marketplace. Let me address both. So first of all, from a messaging standpoint, empathy is absolutely key. We manage a lot of crisis comms and have worked with a lot of brands on crisis comms. And knowing when and where the message should be pushed out is a difficult question. By the way, we really cover that in the COVID ebook as well. But showing empathy, messaging like when you're ready, we are here for you, is a very, very important way to not push too much promotion right now on people, because we all feel very, very differently. And let's face facts, there's fear out there. So if we're pushing people too much to shop, 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 or buy, then it's going to push them away. The converse of that is really taking ownership of that empathetic position. What can you do to help others that might be in need right now? What can you do to align yourself more one-on-one with potential buyers right now? There are a lot of ways that you can do that. The other point regarding should you just hold on to the money is this. It really does depend on your industry and really how far down the trough you are from an overall revenue standpoint. But I will say this, if you are in a position that you can invest right now in your future through marketing, it's a great time to do it. If the audience is not ready, hold on to the money and literally save it so that when the audience is ready, you can go out with a bang. We talk a lot in the industry about creating, or at Avocet about creating unicorns. And the last thing you want to do right now is create a unicorn, meaning someone sees your ads, or a lot of people refer to it, but then it goes right back down again because there isn't sustainability, because they're not ready for the message. So I would hold on to that money and then push it out when the time is right.
Awesome. All right. Other question from Carol Wolf. Hi, Carol. What are your recommendations or tips to encourage marketing teams and sales teams to positively collaborate and maintain positive relationships.
Alignment is absolutely key between sales and marketing and sales, quite frankly. There is no one entity that should feel more important than the other. If you think about it, we can gain incredible insight from the sales teams on what points of parity are out there and what points of differentiation are out there. All too often, we find that there is a messaging that's pushed out from marketing, and it does not align at all with how sales is selling and, quite frankly, what's resonating from the buyer. So the more alignment that there is, the better. We've actually recorded a couple podcasts on this topic too, on the Integrate and Ignite podcast, on the importance of that sort of thing. So you can go to our new website and put a keyword in regarding sales alignment or sales and marketing, and some podcasts will pop up for you. But nonetheless, communication is key. Without that communication and without both leaders, whether it be one leader of sales and marketing or the sales and the marketing leaders being showing cohesion, then it's going to be an upward ongoing battle forever and ever. And on a weekly basis, what is the feedback that you're receiving from the field? What are we doing to take that and move the brand forward from a communication standpoint as well? Listening goes a long way.
Nice. All right. Now you have like 9-ish minutes.
Okay, so we're going to go through some Brave brands and show you some examples. This first example is the breakaway brand that Avocet works with by the name of Add-ons. And Add-ons serves the mining companies globally with IT solutions. It's a very, very corporate area. There are a lot of IT people out there that are not doing a great job, and it's very, very staid. And they're much, much larger than add-ons. So we took the idea and the positioning. We're not going to listen to this whole video, but the positioning behind this breakaway approach is IT you swear by, not at.
This is Bert.
Hi.
Bert is the maintenance supervisor for Rocks in the Box Mines. And if you ask him, he'd say he really likes his job.
That's true, I do.
However, Bert is about to have a bad day.
Wait, what?
Today, the most important thing on Bert's list is to replace the pump on the mine's lone hydraulic shovel. And the mine is losing money every minute it isn't operational.
Done hundreds of them. Shouldn't take any time at all. We ordered spare pumps last week. Boom, just texted Tanya in the warehouse to grab one for me.
What Bert is about to find out is that even though his computer says there are 3 pumps in the warehouse, they don't actually have any.
Seriously? Fine, I'll just call Dave over at the other warehouse and get one from him.
Which would work if Dave wasn't underground right now with 85 feet of rock blocking his cell signal.
Oh, for shit's sake.
Can't you just check Dave's parts inventory on your computer, Bert?
I could if the 2 warehouses were using the same software. But I can check my vendor's website and order it for urgent delivery. At the worst, I'll have the rig back up and running before lunch.
Problem, Bert?
The computer just froze up.
This is Bert.
So what we've shown in this situation is, first of all, there's a lot of swearing. So we're poking fun at it within the IT infrastructure. But we've really differentiated among the competition. In addition to this, at the big mining show that happens every 4 years, everyone's dressed like Bert. So we're really creating brand extension in a big way. This was actually a 4-minute video that we cut into several different vignettes and utilized in day-to-day video advertising as well. So the next example is something that's very, very near and dear and close to our heart. It's aspirational belonging. So we are working with the LEDP, the Longmont Economic Development Partnership, to really get across to people who are what we refer to as job seekers, that Longmont is Colorado's best kept secret. So we're the #1 boomtown around, and Colorado's best kept secret really helps this very novel approach to economic development. Instead of going after the businesses, we're going after people that want to move here because we've got great jobs. So it's really helping instill that. Here's another one near and dear to our hearts, Bigger Hearts, Stronger Streets for the Longmont Downtown Development Authority. So this novel approach really helps instill that we do as Longmont have incredible hearts around here. And as we grow and as we interact with one another from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, and helping the LDDA downtown, we will have stronger streets. So anger is another way. And again, I'm not going to show this entire video, but we're going to take a look at a few minutes or a few seconds. How about a minute?
Hi, Erin. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to just give you some actions to do. I just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Looks like hair. Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
Is like a girl a good thing?
Actually, I don't know what it really.
So you may have seen this. It made national news. It's for Always, and they're marketing to really build that market up at a very, very young age and let girls know that they're incredible out there. And then we move into relevantly shocking, which of course is poopery. Who can't notice that marketing? And it, again, talk about the bold move that they made in really humanizing something day in and day out. So solving a universal problem, Tom's. Tom's took a brand issue for children in need, and by donating a pair of new shoes to a child for every pair of shoes that are purchased. And who would have ever thought about changing their packaging to pink, right? So this is OEG out of the UK, and they changed their packaging to pink in support of breast cancer awareness. We talked about this earlier. Zappos really owns customer service and consistently over delivering. And again, unless you can compete on constantly over delivering, this is not an area that you can really hang your hat on. So with that, how does your brand differentiate from the competition? Is your product or service distinctful? And does it stand out in some way? Are there new audiences you can reach through differentiation? And are you boring or brave? That's it, Morgan.
Yay, thank you, Lori. Well, if anybody has some final questions, please drop them in chat. We only have a couple minutes, so we might only be able to get to like one. In the meantime, I actually did have a question.
Sure.
Is there I think about our entrepreneurial audience during this week, and some of them are still finding their footing, and they're still trying to, you know, chart their own course and see if their company even works out. So can you go like too brave too soon? Like, or especially if you're a small brand or just starting out, like what's the key is some of this?
Yeah, I don't think you can be too brave too soon. We know that it's an uphill battle for even new products out there. The quicker you can create, the quicker you can become an icon to your potential customers, like, oh my gosh, look at this, look what they did, the more memorable you'll become, the more repeat business you'll have, the more referral you'll have, and the more you'll push the competition aside. Again, most brands hang their hat on their points of parity, the table stakes. They don't push it to the right-hand side of differentiation into that range of acceptability.
That's awesome. Sweet. Well, thank you. Fawn has commented that she is brave.
Yay! Way to go! I love it.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us today, Lori. It's been a pleasure to have you. And I will be back in just a few minutes with our 1 p.m. session on a unique value proposition. And thank you all again.
And great. And please remember to sign up for the gifts that we're going to be providing all of you today.
Yes, there's a link in chat for the giveaway and everything else. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.